Hey everybody, this is Dark Guards, and we're back with another quick update here. So I was working on part 2 of the atomic science automation video, and ended up covering more bugs. Obviously, I really should have thought this through before I started that little bit of series, and actually went and checked every piece of content and made sure it actually worked. One of the bugs we ended up running into was with the end caps. So I went ahead and I implemented the end caps a little bit earlier than expected. You obviously can tell I'm not finished with the renders with them. That was like, hey, we're going to use these in the video because they are kind of cool. What they're designed to do is allow you to use half of a belt, so it's lower cost, to create an entry point into your automation network. Say you're pulling from a furnace or something, and you want to use robotic arms and make it look all fancy and everything else, you can go ahead and do that. So this would be a great example if I can put this here real quick. Is you grab something out of a machine and you just want to put it on here because it looks pretty good. And when we get actually the orange border and everything on there, it'll look a lot nicer, and you can put basically the system on here. Let me go ahead and, well, actually I know why this isn't working. I need to remove the casing. So you do have to remove the casing on here because these will eventually actually have a casing system on it. I'm not entirely sure how we're going to implement the casing over top of this, because obviously this is designed specifically for dropping items into the belt. One of the original reasons this was actually made is what you're supposed to do with this is stick this below a furnace and put a hopper upgrade in it and have basically a micro hopper. So we're going to probably use the same exact render but scale it down, and have that drop an item onto the belt and then have it move along, so that way you incorporate the hopper and the belt in one block. That looks a lot nicer and has a little bit better animation. But it's also designed to act as a hopper for inputting stuff in the top of machines, but I went ahead and used it for the robotic arm as well. I do still need to do a bit more work, because as you can tell I was trying to wrench this to invert it. That's where we get into the next thing of what I've been working on. So the next bit I decided to work on while I was in here toying around with all this is to get it where you can change the input and output sides of these belts. Now this isn't completely done, and this definitely needs a lot more work, but it allows you to go ahead and customize the input and outputs on this, so that way you can build, I wouldn't call it a splitter, but you can build something that kind of acts as a non-logical sorter. What I mean by a non-logical sorter is it will create a sorting-like behavior without actually sorting stuff. So you can think of it, I guess you could think of it as a splitter, but the only difference is it's not going to guarantee that every path will get an equal amount. So say we were bringing items in here, and by default it's designed to stick stuff out that side. But what we can do is go ahead and invert this, and it looks like I ended up messing up my render, so these need to definitely be inverted. But you can see it is actually working, it is actually bringing items off of each side. And it will put them into there, and you get basically a splitter-like behavior. And what this will end up being combined with is the ability to do filters and a few other things, so that way you can control the automated behavior. So that's one of the things. This also works for the junctions as well, which I've been over here testing. The junctions, I believe, work a little bit nicer, but it's the same logic. It's the same render code, more or less, too. The only difference is that the junctions do not check what side they're rendering. Because obviously you do all four sides, and these ones actually do have a check to make sure you don't render this other side. To be honest, I almost feel like actually just merging the two blocks together and making one block. The only reason I haven't is that these belts are cheaper to make, so the junction belts are cheaper to make than the intersection belts, for obvious reasons that you're short one belt item. Which, that's the reason for keeping it, is to keep the costs down, so you're not using a lot more material to do something. Because you gotta figure, if you were using something like pipes, maybe I even have a pipe mod in here. I was about to say we could use a pipe example, but when you have like pipes, for example, you pay the same cost and they all connect together. With this, you're going to drop the cost down a little bit. It's not going to be cheaper than another mod's pipes, but it'll be cheaper than a single belt, for example. Anyways, I'll go ahead and leave you guys there, and I'll come back with more updates on how content is developing for this, and hopefully we'll get back into working on assembly line, not assembly line, atomic science, definitely need scripts for these, and start working on the fusion reactors, which will tie into the automation, as well as the two of them were going to go hand in hand with everything else.